Welcome to today's edition of the AI Eye, watching stock news, deal tracker, and advancements in artificial intelligence. Hey everyone, this is Sam Mowers here. Welcome to a special edition of the AI Eye podcast featuring an interview with Glenn Tompkins. Glenn is a senior instructor at VectorVest. VectorVest is a stock analysis and portfolio management system. For more on VectorVest, please visit www.vectorvest.com. In this podcast, Glenn talks about some of the hottest stocks in the AI space, how investors can navigate the space, the so-called chatbot race, and more. So now, without further ado, here is my conversation with Glenn Tompkins. Hello, Glenn. Thanks for joining us on the AII.
Well, thank you for having me. I do appreciate the opportunity to speak to people in regards to this space that we're going through right now with AI.
Excellent. Yes, it is very timely, I would say. Maybe to start things off, can you just give us a brief kind of background on yourself, sort of how you became interested in AI and a bit about your work maybe with VectorVest?
Excellent. So again, my name is Glenn Tompkins. I'm a senior instructor here at VectorVest. I just made 19 years here with the VectorVest software, and my job is pretty much to help guide people, teach people how to effectively make money in the market. We have a unique way of analyzing stocks to include the space that we're going through right now, which is AI or artificial intelligence. I got really interested in it really within the last few weeks, couple of months, I'll say that way, because of the rise of ChatGPT, because Microsoft's investment, not only once, but twice into the company, which really led me to believe with a company like Microsoft has been around for quite a lot of years, what do they know that I don't know? So that was my interest. And since that time, I've been diving deeper into the subject to sort of kind of discern whether or not is it a fad, is it a passing fad, or is it something that's going to be around for quite some time? And I'm coming out on the side of, I think that this is something that will be around for quite some time. And I've got a case that I can argue in regards to that.
All right. So as you've alluded to, AI is really all over the news lately, and this time it's not just in the trade papers. It's mainstream now with, as you say, ChatGPT and a lot of the image generators like Midjourney, things like this. What would you say are some of the hottest stocks right now in the AI space, and how would you advise investors to navigate the space when looking to invest?
All right. So, great question. In that, within the VectorVest software, we've got a watch list of both AI programs and AI stocks that can be looked at. With that put aside, and actually here at VectorVest, we tracked over 18,000 stocks globally, and Canada is one of the countries that we do track as well. So, with that being said, I've got 7 stocks that really rise to the top as far as news driven and accountability to really start to take this space further. CRM, Salesforce. Why? Well, it's because they have AI that will help them to lock in sales. Advanced Micro, AMD. Why? Because when you have something as powerful as AI, you need the chips to be able to make that happen. NVIDIA falls in that same category. Meta, man, Meta's just under some scrutiny, up, right, left, everywhere. But you look at Meta making roadways into the whole metaverse, which is going to be all AI. I think that that's got to be a stock at the top of your list when looking at AI. Microsoft, for what I mentioned, was the big investment into OpenAI, aka ChatGPT. Google, Google's got their hands in everything, but Google's got the ability. They've got the Bard their Bard AI, which is going against the Chat GPT. It's coming out of the gate stumbling, but that's something actively going after the Chat GPT. Baidu has got its own GPT or text. And last but Baidu was my extra stock, but my last for the 7 is Amazon. When Amazon goes through the process of shipping out stuff, they've got an AI called Text Track, which extracts text from scanned documents. So they can scan and then just say, boom, without somebody having to write it down or type it in. So all of these are AI stocks in this space that I think have some good value going forward for investors. That's and if I look at all 7 of those stocks, there's 2 stocks that stand out to me out of those 7 that have good upside potential to outperform the market, and that's Salesforce and AMD. You would think that I would say Microsoft because of Chat GPT. It just is not there yet, but I think with the buzz behind it, it will move it up my list a lot quicker. But if I'm looking at individual stocks right now to consider, because I'm not a broker, so I can't tell people what stocks to buy and sell. Mm-hmm. But if I'm considering this space out of the 7 stocks that I've offered, I look very heavily towards CRM and AMD. The rest of them are pretty news driven, but I think they're getting more of a catalyst or a boost to push them up the list.
Now, on the flip side of that,
Sure.
you don't have to name any names, but are there any sort of red flags you would warn investors against? Because obviously, with the proliferation of AI stocks lately, there's going to be a lot of duds, right?
So now that's where analysis on the company comes into place. Do I know what the company is worth? Do I know how safe it is? And lastly, and most importantly, is the company going up and down in price right now? So the news can drive any stock, whether it's a penny stock or a multi-billion-dollar company. The analysis is where the rubber meets the road. And as an investor, red flags would be, is the company safe? Well, I have a way with the VectorVest system to determine whether a company is safe or not. Is it going up or down in price? I've got an indicator that will show that. Those will be where my red flags will be found. Somebody can push a stock, but do I have the correct analysis to take it from that person's mouth to my brokerage account to invest in it?
Speaking of Chat GPT and the like, can you talk a bit about the so-called chatbot race and what, if any, impact it might have on AI stocks being recession proof? There's a lot of talk of recession these days. Any thoughts on that?
So the race, well, everybody wants to be on the ground floor of anything once it comes out. So ChatGPT set the bar. And, whether you agree or disagree, I think that they set the bar that other companies are going after. As I mentioned, Baidu is coming out with theirs. AMD, the race is real, but the rubber meets the road when the chat bot, if it works or doesn't work. And there's a lot of things behind it. People have said that, I put into GPT to do this, and my answer was weird. And, as an AI listens to what you're saying, or, looks at what you're saying, and it's a learning process. It actually learns. It actually looks at what you're saying and the questions that you ask it, and it learns from what your input is to give you output. So I can ask a Chat GPT a question. You can ask Chat GPT the same question. We'll get different answers, which is quite interesting. So in regards to the race, I think that as long as people are motivated to get a piece of the pie and push themselves further up the ladder to be seen in that space, it sort of kind of does become recession proof because it puts all of the stuff that's going on in the background, it keeps it in the background, and this technology takes the stage, and this is where people are focusing. So even if the market's going down or we're going into a recession, these stocks have the propensity to keep moving higher because it's at the top of everybody's reading scale to be able to jump on board and get on board with it. So could it be recessionary? I honestly think that it could be, but I will say that when the market's direction is moving down, no matter which direction the market's moving, 80% of the stocks within the market move with the market's direction. So that needs to be taken into consideration as I answer the question.
Now, with all the leaps we're seeing in just the quality of AI tech, do you think AI could ever, say, replace human judgment in making investment decisions? In other words, might I be interviewing an AI instead of you in a couple of years' time?
Well, it's interesting, and I use this terminology. I am eerily optimistic. I think that we've all seen the movie Terminator, and the Terminator is all about mankind fight against the sentient being. Are we going to get to that point of being, competing against the sentient being? I think we are way far away from that. But as this becomes more applicable in our daily lives, it's going to grow. It's going to learn more. And I know I don't think, this is just me from a human perspective. I don't think that we ever get to a point where it replaces mankind. Will it replace a lot of people within society? The answer to that is yes. And it makes sense because machines can work independent of people. They work a lot faster than people. They can calculate a lot faster than people. But there's something missing when you look at society in this space. The human intervention cannot be duplicated with a machine. So as you go down that path, do we get to a point where it's just all machines and no humans? I don't think so. But again, that's the human side of me answering that question. But as it gets stronger and it starts to learn on its own, it might see no need for us and take over. Could that really, really happen? I don't know. It's a long, I think we're a long, not in our lifetime will that happen.
Well, that's good enough for me.
Okay.
Now, Glenn, that's actually all I had for questions. But before we part ways, is there anything else you'd like to add or cover? Any parting thoughts, stuff like that?
Can I give out our website? Is that okay?
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
You can, if you want to get more analysis, especially in the AI space, we've got AI stocks that we can put at your fingertips to help you to make the right decision at the right time. Go to www.vectorvest.com and come check out our website. We've had opportunities for you to join as part of our subscribership if you wish to do so. If you don't, and you just want to look around, by all means, we invite you to do that.
And that's it for today's AI. If you would like to be a guest or sponsor for this podcast, contact InvestorIdeas.com. Investor Ideas reminds all listeners to read our disclaimers and disclosures on the InvestorIdeas.com website, and this podcast is not an endorsement to buy products or services or securities. Investors are reminded all investment involves risk and possible loss of investment. To hear more InvestorIdeas.com podcasts, please visit InvestorIdeas.com/audio. And a reminder, you can also hear our podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Audible, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, and most audio platforms available.